Hey guys, my name is Jesse. All I talk about here on my channel is domain format. If you haven't heard of domain format, I have a handy guide on how to play. You can check that out up there. It is a way to play 4-player multiplayer Yu-Gi-Oh games with 60 card singleton decks and a deck master at the helm. Games are wild, they're fun. I have gameplay footage if you're interested. You can check those out. To all my returning viewers, thank you. Welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about a process that I personally use to build and acquire all the decks that I have, and I have quite a few. The reason being is that I think it's a lot easier to get your hands on a domain deck than most people think, because you can do it all at once. You can skip a lot of the legwork that it takes to try and figure out what's good by just finding a deck that you think looks fun and you want to try out. We'll go more into it, but first, just want to bring up the fact that I'm not sponsored by anybody, but I do have ways for people to support me. I have a TCG player link down below. It is an affiliate link. If you click on it before buying cards on TCG player, they will know that I sent you, and it doesn't add anything to your total, it doesn't charge you nothing, but I do get a kickback for each person that comes by. If you decide to try some of the things that I talk about today, I would greatly appreciate it if you clicked on that first. It's in my Linktree and it will also be down below. If not, don't worry about it. I also appreciate likes and shares. Those help out a ton. Get my videos out to more people will learn about domain, everybody wins. So yeah, I'm just going to be talking about, I want to take this opportunity because I'm literally about to go put a list together, and I wanted to show you guys how, basically what I'm going to be doing. I don't buy packs a whole lot. I don't do a lot of trading. I personally have found that trying to trade for everything to build a deck takes forever. I don't want to wait. But anyway, let's just jump into what I was going to be doing anyway. So if you guys didn't know, I have a Linktree. Here's my TCG player affiliate link. Here's where you can find the domain's official website. Link right here that has all of my deck lists that I put on Yugioh Pro Deck. This right here is all of the decks that I've built and all the decks that I've built conceptually. The deck that I'm going to be getting today, here and now, is a deck that I was very impressed with. I will show you guys. So I've been wanting to put together Vanquish Soul for quite a while because I've seen it do really well multiple times. I can't take credit for building this deck because it was actually built by Editorson in our Discord. He brought this deck and won the first domain tournament. So he's going to be getting the credit for building the deck. It's a cool deck. Let's say you've gone through a bunch of the lists for domain format. There's actually a tag right here that you can see. You can actually just look up domain decks on Yugioh Pro. They don't have to be my decks, but these are all decks that have the domain format tag. And these are all decks that people put together and put up on domain format or Yugioh Pro to share with other people. And there's a ton of them actually, but we're going to be looking at this deck. So you can notice right here that there's actually a way to just straight up 1-to-1 buy this on TCG player. I'm going to see what happens when I try and use this. Let's just take a look. Oh, sorry. It's actually this link right here, the purchase deck link. Okay. So for some reason, the browser didn't work on my computer, but it did work on my phone. And I transferred it over to my account on TCG player. And you can see in my cart. Okay. That's better. I'm out of the way. You can see that there's, now this is something people don't particularly like about TCG player, is that you get a lot of packages. Got to pay a lot of shipping for all those packages. But hold up, we're gonna work on this a little bit here. The main reason why I was so excited to build this deck, let's go look back at the list really quick. There's a few main reasons why I've been wanting to do this. Vanquish Soul is very good in domain format. The few times I've seen it played, it does wonderfully. Vanquish Soul Razin is basically a Stratos. And he's removal, which also so is Stratos. He's a cool deck master because he gives you access to Vanquish Soul, any fire monster, any warrior monster, and also any dark monster because he references dark in his card text. Now, the whole column removal thing only works with the opponent in front of you, but it's still pretty cool. Anybody who's played Vanquish Soul just knows that he's the starter for the Vanquish Soul plays. And the plays that you can go into are pretty crazy for Vanquish Soul, especially with Heavy Borger. Just being able to draw a card every turn and burning players for 1500 every single round, it puts a clock on people. It helps you draw into your interaction. It's just really cool. That's kind of a common theme among the other archetypes in this deck. Now I have this sorted by the chunks of archetypes. It pretty much ends around here, and you'll notice that there's only about 20 cards that are non-engine. That's a very low amount of non-engine for a domain deck. Because as you can see, the Vanquish Souls were added, Snake Eye was added with Diabell Star, then Fire Kings and Rescue Ace. And then we get to here and we add, from here on out is the non-engine cards, the interaction, the removal, the draw and breakers. This is pretty unique to this deck because I haven't seen too many decks that shove this many engines and this many engine cards into one deck. Like I said, Vanquish Soul has a lot of interaction on other turns. Snake Eyes has a lot of interaction on other turns. Diabell Star, Fire Kings, Rescue Ace. All of these archetypes are very scrappy. They can do something on every single turn. They're very resilient. Rescue Ace and Snake Eye can recycle their resources quite well, in addition to the other cards in here that help recycle resources. The only thing I changed personally was I added multi-universe and terraforming. Vanquish Soul doesn't have a field spell yet. Snake Eyes does, Fire Kings do, and so does Rescue Ace. A lot of the strength in this deck is that it can pivot between all these 3 field spells to start its plays for the other archetypes. I imagine something like Divine Temple or Rescue Ace give you a lot of longevity because Rescue Ace recycles things, Divine Temple summons things that are spells or traps. So personally, I added in multiverse. I just want to be able to loop Rescue Ace, HQ, and the other field spells, and then terraforming too, because I think it's just another starter essentially, because you can either start one of those archetypal plays or shift into the other. Maybe it doesn't need it, but I personally wanted those 2 things in there. And then, you know, all the extra deck, there's nothing that people wouldn't expect from Vanquish Soul. Salamangreat Sunlight is really interesting because if anybody summons anything to a zone it points to, you can add a fire monster back from your graveyard to your hand, which lets you redo Ash Blossom, Kaijus, any of the hand trap, Rescue Ace. It's cool. I like that. Ambloel, Fire Princess, Garunix. I'm not going to go too much more into the deck, but I've been wanting to have this deck on hand because I personally know a few people that want to play Vanquish Soul. So today's the day. I'm finally just going to pull the trigger, acquire it for myself. Back to the shopping cart list. You could obviously just hit checkout, buy it, pay for it, wait for the 25 freaking packages to get to you. I'm not going to do this. I am going to trim this down quite a bit because I already have most of these cards. As a matter of fact, I kind of like collecting cores. I have a binder and it's full of nothing but cores that I have. Whenever I get interested in an archetype, if it's cheap, I'll just acquire it either by trading for it or buying it through TCG Player like this. Here I've got Ashen, Goatee, Sword Soul, Ninjas, Earthbound, Shadal's, Lightsworn, Invoked, Lair of Darkness, Tenpai. Tenpai, you could actually add this. You could add Tenpai to this deck list that I'm showing you. That'd be kind of crazy. But it's like the list is so tight, you'd have to take something else out, right? Anyway, Ragnaraka. I have a whole binder of cores. Some of those cores that I've been getting over time has been Rescue Ace, Snake Eye, and all the Fire King stuff comes out of the Fire King structure deck. The things I don't have are Vanquish Soul. So because I already own most of these cards, I'm going to go through this list. I'm going to remove everything I already own. I just realized this is a completely different deck list. What the heck? Hold on. Okay, I now got it to work on my phone. I went here to purchase deck. I added the cards to my cart. I signed into my TCG Player account and I went back to my computer. It's kind of a lot of hoops to jump through, but it's still pretty convenient in my opinion. Now again, I'm going to go through this list. Now this I'm not going to be paying $360. I'm going to come back after I remove all the cards that I actually already own and we'll see where we are there. Okay, so I've got this down to the cards that I don't actually own for the most part, or don't have copies of. But here is where I'm going to say you can do 2 things. You can go ahead and just buy what you don't have. You can optimize the cart. I haven't done that yet. Maybe we can get all in one package. But we're down to 4 packages, which isn't honestly all that bad for a TCG Player order. And 3 of them are from 1 card cards. I can probably optimize this to put it into the TCG Direct Player package. But I'm not quite done yet. There's now something that I wanted to mention to people. It's pretty cool getting together what you already have for the deck. Then you're not buying duplicates that you don't actually need. And you kind of have a physical start to your deck. Well, after this point, you can actually just finish the deck without buying any cards by proxying cards. Now, this website, I will leave the link down below, but it basically just puts out PDFs of the cards that you're looking for, and you can print out the PDFs, cut out the cards from the printer paper, slide them right into a sleeve. I'll show you what I mean. So Pod of Greed. So 9 space pod. 9 Pot of Greed, and it will generate a PDF, and then you print this out. And then you can, do this for the rest of these cards. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I could put all these cards into that PDF proxy generator, print it out, cut them out, and then just add them into sleeves. I have, let's see, I think right here, you won't be able to see it too well, but this Graceful Charity is just a proxy, doing exactly what I said. It's just a piece of paper that I slid into the sleeve, and you can do that with the entire deck and, it's not the card, but it's legible. You can read the text, see the art. It's fine for a budget option just to play with your friends, the cards that you want to play with your friends. Now, let's say you don't want to do that, and let's say I'm actually going to go through with consider buying these cards to finish off the deck. First thing that I'm going to consider is that I actually own a Diabell Star. I just have one copy. I'm probably just going to switch it out of the deck that it's currently in to add it to this deck and use placeholders. So I'm going to take that off. Then continuing on, Promethean Princess is the next big spendy card. This is going to be a card I'm going to proxy. I just don't want to, I'm not playing this in advanced. I'm not playing Snake Eye in advanced. I don't actually need this. I can just proxy it on that website. So I'm just going to proxy that and take that off to save some money. SP Little Knight, very spendy card. I actually do want to own one of these as well. I actually decided to try and buy some proxies off of Etsy. For anybody who doesn't know, so this is the proxy. Here, maybe if I take off the sleeve, it'll help. But this is a proxy. It's pretty glossy on the front. You can tell by feeling it. What this is it's some other secret rare. Somebody acetoned off the ink, which left a blank shiny card, and then they printed this on top of it through a different process. This is a real Yu-Gi-Oh card, but you can tell it's quite a bit thicker, heavier. You can tell through the sleeve. Obviously, don't try and pass these off as real cards because it's very very apparent that they're not, but this was cheap enough to just pick up a few copies of these on Etsy, and I've been pretty happy with it. So even if you didn't do the Etsy proxy thing, you could just still go over to here on the Yugioh proxies thing, print out a proxy. But I'm gonna take that off to save a good chunk of money. I need these. I knew the Vanquish Soul stuff was gonna be expensive. Typhon's another card that I think is only expensive because it's incredibly competitive in TCG. I'm not playing TCG, so I'm just gonna take it out for a super cheap access code that came out of Rarity Collection 2. All right, this is the Vanquish Soul stuff that I don't actually own. Wanted is kind of the same thing as Diabell Star. I have a Diabell Star and I have a Wanted. I just have one copy of them. So I'm just going to add it. I'm just going to swap it in between decks using a placeholder to essentially share between all my lists. All right, so now I'm down to the list of cards that I actually want. It's a much more manageable list. I'm going to try and optimize this. I'm pretty happy with this optimization, so I'm going to go ahead and take this cart. 2 packages, much smaller chance of something going wrong. All right, and that's that. Order successfully done. Only got 2 packages to wait on, and that's that. Here's the easy PDF I got to print out of those proxies I just didn't want to pay for. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much exactly what I do for all my deck lists. I have like 24 decks, 23 decks now at this point. It's kind of crazy. It's a lot of making orders on TCG Player. I try and do a whole deck at a time, and whatever I don't want to buy, I'll just make a proxy up. Like I said, I've got so many proxied up. Graceful Charities, Pot of Greed, stuff like that. Nobody I've played with has ever really cared about those proxies because, one, they appreciate the fact that I took the time to make like a clear, legible proxy. It's not just like the back of a Yu-Gi-Oh card and I wrote on it with Sharpie. Obviously, if you were to ever play in any of the tournaments in the Discord, those got to be all real, legit cards, obviously. But yeah, that was just one thing I wanted to show everybody. Like I said, if you want to show us some support, you can click on my TCG Player affiliate link before you ever make a purchase for any of your future domain decks. I'd greatly appreciate it. And again, if not, no worries. You can always just like the video. I appreciate that too. So yeah, that was everything I wanted to show you guys about my process behind acquiring all the decks that I've gotten. Clearly I have a problem. I mainly just want to show people that it's not as hard to get domain decks as one may think. And you don't have to get something that I showcased here, which is a lot of pretty modern archetypes, which can end up having spendy cards. There was one guy in the Discord that enjoyed trying to find as many budget options as he could. And if you look through all those domain lists, you can find a lot of interesting, very budgeted decks. They're especially budget if you start with a structure deck first. Starting with a structure deck, that's like half the cards you need at least. And then you can finish off with whatever cards you like that you have on hand. And you can have a functional deck, but I guess that can be another video. Huh? Anyway, thank you guys for stopping by, watching. I appreciate it. Till the next time, I'll see you then. In our Discord, he actually won our first tournament, our first domain tournament. He won our first domain tournament. Why can't I say this? He brought this deck and won the first domain tournament.